Hi, I'm here with Kevin Hawkins, who is president of WAV Group, one of the big identifiers of tech trends in both the US and globally. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
No worries. So you have been you've been a long time watcher of the technology trends that are driving real estate. Let's kick off. Let's start. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's really exciting to be at a technology conference and seeing how it's impacting real estate today. I try to look out a little bit further and see some of the emerging technologies and think about how it may impact real estate and what it could really practically do for brokers and agents. And one of the first things that really struck off the page for me when I was reading about brain chips. And brain chips are really implants in the brain. If you can think about the way that we could impact people's lives in a positive way in medical arena, like epilepsy patients, they've seen incredible progress.
But in real estate?
In real estate, people are doing an emotional decision when they're buying a home. And if you ask any broker or agent what's happening with their seller, a lot of times the seller is sitting on the fence and listing that house because they have all these memories tied to the house. Well, there's a company called Kernel in the UK that is saying they are going to be able to actually erase memories.
Right.
And so my thinking is, if you could erase the memory of the home for the seller, you would have no problems getting that listing. You'd be able to get rid of those childhood memories of the kids growing up and all those things.
Can I have them back after you've done the deal?
And that's the interesting thing is they're actually talking about selling memories as well.
Wow.
And being able to program new memories that you could have, even in the new house you buy, you could take those old memories and transport them into the new house.
Wow.
So
I'm a little bit anxious about having a realtor decide what I can or can't remember.
The power of the realtor. Could you imagine what could happen if we had brain chips controlled by real estate agents?
Yeah.
The second trend that I was looking at is something a little more practical. It's called augmented analytics. And if you can think of business intelligence on steroids, the challenge for real estate agents and brokers is they've got all these analytical tools, all these dashboards, but it's a matter of how do you interpret all this data and what does it mean? Well, this stuff actually is simple and easy to read. Right. It actually puts it into plain language. It takes all that data that we have, rolls it up, and tells us thing that is really could change how we do business with the customer. I'll give you a quick example. We could actually tell a customer who is waiting to put their house in the market that if they wait 30 days more, the price of their house, they may have to take less. Because the market is changing from all the analytics that we see, and they're going to have to lower their price if they wait 30 days. So they better list today. And having that kind of business intelligence, this augmented analytics could be a game changer for real estate agents. And that's the kind of new technology we're seeing coming on the field. The other thing that we're all seeing is this automated automobiles. We're seeing motorcycles, we're seeing drones, we're seeing all kinds of automated vehicles. And the idea that Uber and Lyft is going to pick this up from our house and take us somewhere is already impacting the way we're building homes. Right. And I think we really got to question, are there going to be garages? Yes. Are we going to see disappearing from the MLS even the idea that we're going to list the number of garages, and what are garages going to be in the future?
Or could you subdivide, or do you actually pull them out as ownership? Can you kind of resell them?
Exactly. If somebody else actually needs your garage, could you take that as a separate parcel and list that for sale?
And what does that do for housing affordability?
And what does it do for value? So there's a lot of things that can happen if you take the autonomous automobile and think about how does that impact real estate. The other piece of autonomous that I wrote about with the Florida realtors about a year ago is the idea of drone in the box.
Right.
Now, realtors all are being told that they need to show the entire neighborhood, and they need to show that Google Maps just doesn't cut it. It's great, but if they could show how this whole neighborhood fits into the package. So a lot of them are going out and they're hiring photographers who have now become drone pilots. Right. Well, could you imagine if you didn't have to do that, but you could just go on the internet, put the address of the house, and order drone in the box. The drone would come to you. Yep. You would literally unbox it. Yep. You would download the app from the QR code, you scan it. It would have the address pre-programmed in. It already has the pre-programmed flight. Right. You literally hit the button, the drone flies, takes all the footage of the house.
It's kind of like a homing pigeon.
It's like a homing pigeon. It flies around the house, it takes the footage, it comes back, and there are actually companies in Israel that have been inventing this type of technology. They found out that it was actually better for them to turn their company around from real estate and go to both the military applications and also warehouses to do inspections and change the drone in the box in that direction. But I'm sure there's a company out there that's going to see the value with 1.3, 1.4 million real estate agents and all the listings we have to say, there could be quite a pretty penny to be made in drone-of-the-box technology, especially since these things are becoming about this big, with incredible 4K cameras that can be flown indoors and not bump into anybody. So that's really what the new technology is doing. The other thing that I think is really interesting is this idea of digital ethics and how that's really coming into play, and digital privacy. Everybody got freaked out when Facebook went crazy, and everybody was afraid in the real estate industry that people were no longer becoming a Facebook participant. They were all getting off of Facebook. Well, that Chicken Little syndrome did not happen.
No one died.
Real estate agents need to know that Facebook is probably still the most powerful place for them to reach both their customers and other real estate agents. So that's, you got to be careful of that Chicken Little syndrome. But that there are things that we tend to get technology ahead of the law and ahead of the morality of our own, our own bodies, of what we think technology should do for us. So things like, cars that are supposed to get out of an accident and it steers towards one place to kill somebody versus another. Those are really hard decisions.
Do you hit the pedestrian or do you go with the driver?
And then do you hit a car that's got 8 people in it or one that has 2, and then you find out, oh, I hit the one with 2, but they were carrying an organ that was going to save the life of a surgeon, and the one with 8 people were all criminals that had gotten out of a jail. It's like, how do you make that decision? A human being could see that they were wearing jail clothes, and the other one could see the sign that said organ donor vehicle. And that's the kind of things that we're rolling in. But I think really what is really important about is that real estate agents need to understand the privacy that their own customers expect, and get more in tune about how to make it easier to understand. Google's even putting pictures and drawings on their terms of service to make people understand how easy this is and how they're trying to become more and more transparent. Even though I always say that Google does know more than your spouse and the NSA. There's really a quid pro quo in there about how much you got to tell people you're using and how you're using, because in California, in 2020 comes a new law that's going to put a lot of onus on people to be very careful about how, in the real estate business, we're using consumer information. Because that's like a quarter of the market in the United States practically, of where people are doing business. And if California says this is the new privacy law, just like we had with GDPR in Europe, the General Data Protection Act, we've got to be the same kind of caution we're going to have. California's going to force us to do.
Well, they influence back home in Australia too. Like what happens in California often kind of filters back to.
And isn't that true? Even in the real estate market, I think there's a lot of synergy for that, and I think people are going to look to California across the United States, and as you say, in other countries, and in Ireland and Australia, and go, well, hey, look, they're doing it there. How do we model ours? Because I think people are going to say, we want that kind of protection too. And fortunately, by then, hopefully, technology will progress to figure out how to make it more seamless so that the real estate broker and agents out there with the individual websites won't have to worry about it as much, and there will be solutions by the vendor providers to be able to protect them, but they've got to be aware of it and they've got to know the responsibility. 2 more things that I just want to touch on. One is really cool, which is so much fun. My son is a mechanical engineer at Boise State in Idaho, and they have 3D printers in his bedroom, and he 3D prints all the time. And his buddy does, and they sell stuff, and they do custom stuff. I got a Christmas gift that was some desk holder set and hold my phone. At South Dakota School of Mines, they have a laser 3D printer that's metal, that creates metal 3D printing. It costs $1 million. There's only like 10 in the United States. There was in a whole room that takes up to these things. But they have 3D printers that print food. They have 3D printers that print just about everything. And the coolest thing that I saw, how do you print food? There's a whole, you just Google it, 3D printing for food. You won't believe all that's being done there. But the coolest thing I saw is MIT has a program where they're actually trying to print exact replica of 3D art so that you can literally keep the Mona Lisa at the exact light, the exact intensity, with the exact strokes that the painter originally did, and that a person would not be, a professional art person would not be able to tell the difference between the original and it's unbelievable what they're creating. So in real estate, could you imagine if you had a buyer coming into your house going, I'd like to buy the house, and they say, well, here's our closing gift. What kind of art do you like? Pick from the catalog. We're going to put the masters in all the rooms that you like as our closing gift to you.
But aren't the Russians too doing 3D houses?
Well, that's, we're seeing 3D robots, we're seeing 3D cars, we're seeing 3D, I mean, it's amazing the kinds of things. Mercedes-Benz is actually building piece replacements for their cars that are 3D parts right now. So you can literally do it yourself. Here's the program for your 3D printer, you can replace this particular part. The final thing is the most exciting, and it's happening now, and that's conversational AI.
Right,
so the Ojo Labs and the Ojo app is just, the Ojo technology is unbelievable. They just partnered with a company, merged with a company called WolfNet, which has got one of the biggest data reservoirs in the world, in the US. And then, so imagine those two monsters, it's the middle kind of swallowing the whale, coming together and what they can do. And then you have Alexa. Alexa just had the Alexa Prize, and they had this competition where you had to have a conversation for like 10 minutes with Alexa, back and forth. And I think they got to about 12 minutes or something like that. They awarded this phenomenal prize. But the idea that we're going to learn through conversation and just have an easy conversation with a voice assistant is going to change everything.
I can't wait for that, because you know, at the end of the day, having to peer into a phone and start typing is the last thing you want to do if you've been sitting at a screen all day as well. So it really opens up.
We have 7 in our house, and it has changed everything that we do, from a very simple practical thing, from the ordering of keeping our list for ordering groceries, to just reminders that we have, to what's happening with the weather. Everything that we do is the same way. It just makes our lives easier, and I think that's what it's going to do for the realtor.
Thank you so much, Kevin. That's been absolutely fascinating. So just to summarize, we've got brain chips, we've got automatic cars, and then the impact of that on housing. We've got 3D printing, we've got the AI on steroids, no,
the augmented analytics.
On steroids. What did I miss?
We also have the conversational AI.
Conversational AI, yep. It's all been absolutely fascinating.
and all the digital ethics. I think that is the big one.
And
progressive web apps.
And so I think what we're seeing really is this whole kind of combining of the human, making it easier for humans to connect with the technology, and then taking it to that whole new level, aren't we?
The bottom line is, technology is not here to replace people, it's here to help people.
And enhance what we're able to do, and the speed and the time that we can get stuff done in.
So we can spend more time doing this.
We can.
Talking.
And that's perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.